My coworkers keep trying to find out what their chronic illness is. I'm 22, working my first job out of university while getting my ma in the evenings. Most of my coworkers are at least 20 years older than me. It's rare to get a job like this right out of school, but I interned for them during my undergrad and they offered me a job after graduation. My coworkers tend to make a lot of comments about my age, personal appearance, etc., comparing me usually positively to their own children, introducing me to guests as our child prodigy, etc. It's all complimentary and I know that I stand out, so even though I find it annoying and think it undermines my professionalism, I let it go. However, there's one thing that I just can't stand, pardon the pun. I have several chronic illnesses, including severe arthritis and a degenerative bone condition. As a result, I use a wheelchair for distances, although I can walk. I usually take public transit to work, and as a result I'm usually in my wheelchair. However, recently my partner has started working close to my job and she has a car. The distance from our apartment to the parking lot and from the street to my desk is short enough that I have been using my forearm crutches instead. The first time my coworkers saw me walking with my crutches, they were all shocked and confused even though I had never claimed to be paralyzed. When they asked why I used my wheelchair at all if I could walk, I explained that I have several chronic illnesses and that my mobility was variable. Most let it go at that, but a couple of them, Barb and Sandra, who are the most frequent offenders with the child prodigy talk, asked for details I wasn't comfortable giving at work. Now, every time either of them is in a room with me, they ask increasingly invasive questions. Once, both of them were in our break room with me and Barb asked, "Is it terminal?" And I said no. She turned to Sandra and said, "Well, then it's not MS, cross that one off the list." I think that Barb and Sandra are playing a kind of weird game of 20 questions to figure out what is wrong with me. Others have been present when they talked to me about it, and nobody seems to think that it's inappropriate. I mentioned it to my supervisor and she said that they were just showing that they care. Am I off base here? It seems wildly inappropriate, but I don't have the formal or informal standing to shut it down. Update. First, I want to thank you and all of the readers for your advice and compassion. I particularly want to thank some of the comments which pointed out that I felt like I couldn't push back on their comments because of the age difference. They were right, and it's been really helpful for me to realize that I tend to go along with a lot of things that make me uncomfortable in the office because of the perceived authority that comes with age, even when those giving the directions don't actually have any authority over me or my job. On to the update. I wish I had better news, but it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I used your scripts with Barb and Deb, and it got some of the comments to die down, except that now they have been telling other coworkers that I am too arrogant, that I shut them down when they were trying to help, and have suggested that I think I am better than a couple old ladies. I promise you that that is not an accurate description of me or my actions. I always try and acknowledge how valuable their contributions are, and I am very careful to be polite and conscientious. So in that arena, at least, I don't think my job is going to get any easier in the near future. I am very grateful to have a job in my field at all, especially as we just elected a government where I live that is going to make it even more difficult to find full-time jobs in social work, my field. I love the client-facing part of my job, and it feels like I'm making a difference. So even if there was any possibility of finding a comparable job in this market and with my experience level there isn't, it would be very difficult for me to leave it. However, there is a bright spot. One of my other part-time jobs involves giving anti-oppression and equity training, mostly for government agencies, NGOs, and schools. My great-grandboss, who founded our organization, was in attendance at one recently. Afterwards, she approached me and complimented me on my skills and asked if I would consider writing and giving similar training to our staff, all of us. It might be petty, but ableism and anti-ableism make a pretty significant part of the training, and I am really looking forward to looking Barb and Deb in the eye as I give it. Great-grandboss seems to think I have potential and indicated that she was really happy I was part of the organization. She seems to think I have a future here, which I remind myself every time Barb glares at me in the kitchen or Deb says loudly I think it's terrible that people take advantage of accommodations when they don't really need it. For the record, my only workplace accommodations are an adjustable height desk that I can fit my wheelchair under, and a speech-to-text software on my work computer for when my arthritis is flaring too badly to type. I hope to have a more positive update for you soon. Thank you again for your kindness and knowledge.